focus. Me, not the camera. Hi guys, hello, welcome, g'day friends. I think it's been a long time since maybe you've seen my face on one of these videos. I can't be sure, but I don't know the last time I had my face on YouTube. So anyway, I'm just actually hopping in to film a bit of an intro because I got halfway through the editing process and I was like, oh, I never filmed an intro. I never said why I was doing this. So this is what the video is. I went on a bit of a research and inspiration trip. I went to Disneyland, I went to Disney's California Adventure Park, I went to Target, nothing was there, so I went to another Target, nothing was there, and I went to Spirit Halloween, and all of this was in order to get inspired by that Halloween season turning around. I'm not so into all of the crazy, like, scary, you know, creepy, what is this? I just saw myself do it in that screen. I'm not really into all of that, so every year I do Whimsyween, which is a lighter approach to Halloween. You know, it's more fairies and pixies and, you know, just lighter stuff. It's lighter fare. So I wanted to go and be inspired by all of that. Obviously, Disney is a really good place to be inspired by, you know, the lighter side of Halloween, because there's nothing kind of crazy there. I wouldn't really turn up to, you know, Universal Halloween Horror Nights or anything. I really wouldn't go that far to do my research, but yeah, I kind of just wanted to be in the spaces. I've done this before. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing to do. I think when you want to go and get inspiration, you can be inspired by a bunch of different things kind of anywhere, and a lot of the time I don't need to go too far to get inspiration, but this one I wanted to be a little bit more intentional about it because I thought it would make for a really interesting video project, since I don't really ever show, apart from on Patreon. I've done this before a couple of times on Patreon in 2018 and again in 2019. I don't really show how I dive into projects, or like how I go about the research of it, or what I might be even exposed to, because I think a lot of the time I get asked, like, where did that come from? And maybe sometimes I don't remember, or if I do remember, it might be super obscure, but a lot of it just has to do with me putting myself in the situation, in the circumstance, and then thinking, oh, I could do that, or I like that, or I'll do something else. Anyway, all of that to say, this is just an intro. Hi, hello, welcome. The first part you're gonna see is everywhere I went to go and get the inspiration, all the little footage I took lots of photos as well, and then after that, I take all of the photos, I print them out as reference for myself, and then I go about just sketching everything I saw, just being inspired by it, making my little notes, swatching out color palettes, and I create 3 spreads of kind of like information that's all sketched out. So I'll go into a voiceover and kind of talk you through that process as it happens, but that's just what this video is. I just wanted to tell you because it might be a little confusing at first. I didn't want you to think I'm showing you some really awkward vlog where I just vlog everything and not myself. It's purely imagery that I wanted to be inspired by. And, you know, not everything I took a photo of I ended up sketching out, but also not everything that I am now inspired by with some of that footage did I actually take a photo of. So it's good for me to have that as a reference material as well, just to keep stimulating the ideas. So I hope you enjoyed both parts of the video. If not, just skip through to the end when I start all the painting. I won't be upset about it, but this is my Whimsyween 2019 Research and Inspiration vlog. Okay. Did my intro. There you go. I'm gonna say bye, but I'm just about to start the video, so here you go. Alright, I'm in Disneyland, and it is a ghost town in here. Literally, pardon the pun. There's no one in here. It's crazy. It's gonna be really fun, actually. Now I can go and select all my footage and might even ride some rides. Legit riding Dumbo by myself right now. Not even mad about it. I'm way too old to be doing this by myself. It's so good though. Zero shame. I'm at Target. I'm at Target because I was in Disneyland the other day and I was getting a lot of footage, and as much as I loved it and I'm pretty sure that was enough, I just wanted to get some more. Like, I thought going to see the like the Halloween setup in Target would be good. I also want to go to Spirit Halloween, I think that's what it's called. I just want to get some more footage and just take some more photos just in case, because once upon a time there was a Christmas bauble ornament set in Target that I got inspired to do like a whole Christmas thing on. Like, I loved the color palette of it. So there might be just merchandise in there that I want to have a look at that I don't even know I'll be inspired by yet. I haven't seen any of this stuff, so I'm kind of excited. I hope the whole setup is done. It seems pretty early to me, but I know Target really love to get on that stuff early anyway, so let's just go into Target and see if there's anything there. I don't even know if I did like an intro for Disneyland. I'll have to film another intro for this whole video, but I'm collecting research. I didn't do any sketching so far, so literally it's just videos and photos for me to reference. But I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff that I'm already thinking of and I'm already excited to try. So let's go inside. I think I want a coffee as well. Talk about a gorgeous Californian day. Truly shocked that Target did not have their Halloween stuff up. I swear I saw Stella in her Insta story the other day wearing some Halloween costumes, so maybe not all of them are in sync. I don't know. There is a Target where I'm going next though, so I think I might just check that one out really quickly. It's a lot smaller, so I don't know, but I'll check Spirit Halloween, see if that's open. What if that's not open too? Wasn't a total waste though, because I got Coke Zero, so happy about that. Alright, I'm at Target round 2. Let's see if they've got the Halloween stuff. Once again, I have arrived too early. I'm gonna head to Spirit Halloween. At least I know there'll be some stuff there. Alright, so Spirit Halloween is open and they've got all their stuff. So let's just find a few things that might be fun to play with. Inspiration-wise, I'm not gonna buy anything. Why do I actually feel tempted to buy one of these costumes? That's me. So, why do I keep filming as I get in the car? It is so hot. Oh wow, look at this lighting! Come on, lighting! That store, it's a Halloween store, right? And I don't have anything against Halloween personally. I just hate gory things and scary things and spooky, ooky, kooky. Like, I don't really get down with a lot of it. So, I was just like leaving and I just felt heavy. I'm like shaking it off. Yeah, it's just not my type deal. But that's why I love Whimsyween, and that's like more my pace, you know, mermaids, fairies, pixies, like just the lighter side of all of that, you know, fantastical season. Also, why have Target not got their stuff up? Usually putting Halloween stuff up in like May. I mean, they capitalize on a holiday, so I don't know if they just had really long back to school sales this year, which I also didn't mind because I cleared them out of one of those sections. But yeah, kind of disappointed that I didn't get a lot in Target. As it is, I have enough. Like, I have way more than enough. I could have stopped at Disney, but I do like to kind of put myself in these immersive situations sometimes just so I can literally be inspired by anything and everything. I like the internet. It's a very good resource. You're probably watching this on the internet. It is great, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of what I end up being inspired by, I've led myself towards, whereas if I'm just getting the inspiration from real life, it's just whatever's out there, and it could be anything and everything. Like when I'm going to Google, I have to type Halloween stuff or whimsical Halloween things, and you know, I've kind of searched. I'll get a bunch of stuff that I wasn't expecting, of course, and it is still a great resource, but I still think it's a completely different experience going out and seeking inspiration just literally in the world around you, and it can come in the weirdest ways. I've been taking square photographs of a lot of stuff because I want to build like a bunch of photo references just for me to work off of. But I took photographs of things that I had an idea based off of what it was, and I want to remember what that idea was the way I remembered it at that store, which I don't have a notepad with me, so I'm hoping my memory's good today. But even if I forget, I'm sure I'll be inspired by it in other ways. So I think I've built up enough of a little like a montage collection of video footage. I've definitely got enough photos and ideas, and now I really just have to kind of sit down with myself and play on it. You know what I mean? Kind of just play around with some of the ideas. I want to get my hands active in that process because at the moment it's just all ideas and it's all floating around in my head. I feel like if I start to, you know, literally draw some of these things out, I take notes in my phone as well. Sometimes like random things come up, and they might not be good ideas, but I always just write them down. As I was driving, I was thinking, last night in my planner, I had this green jacket sticker and I put it down and I just put some stripy, like Wicked Witch of the West stockings, like underneath. And then I put a long witch's hat just on top of the sweater. Like there's no face, there's no nothing. It was this tiniest little doodle that took 2 seconds. And I was like, I wonder if I've got any other green stickers, because I don't ever use green, like anywhere really, like green stickers. So maybe I could just do a bunch of like Wicked Witch of the West in these little doodle like sticker things. And I thought like that's not like an idea. I mean, it's something I could do just to do it, but it's not really like a tutorial I would teach on YouTube or something. But I thought, well, where would that idea go? Because I liked the fact that the jacket was so like, it just looked like that wouldn't be something that the Wicked Witch of the West would wear. So I was thinking Wicked Witch of the West Side, and like how could I incorporate those ideas, like having some kind of urban apparel, like how do maybe I could just collage together bits and pieces from magazines. And so the place you start is probably never really where you end up, but it can be very beneficial to get your hands moving in the process, because you know, then you're starting to stimulate the free flow of ideas that stem off of that. You know, you're always just planting the seeds with the little like video footage, with the little photos, with the little walks around the stores in Disneyland. You're planting all of those seeds, but you really have to water them to like get them to grow. And then all I want is like a billion branches, and I just want to pick the fruit off like the best branches. And by that point, that's when you get a prompts list, or that's when you get a YouTube tutorial, that's when you get a Patreon video or something. So I have to go and give myself time to do that, which I'll probably do later today. It's still only early September, so there's no huge rush, but I'm excited, so I'll probably do it soon. All right, I gotta go. I'm going to get coffee because I'm like falling asleep. I have a bunch of other work to do, but it's been great. Thanks for coming along on my little inspirational journey to 2 Targets, a Spirit Halloween in Disneyland. Such a random collection of places, but to be honest, I'm a creature of habit. I go to the same places all the time, so I could get the same inspiration, literally go to the same places and get inspired for Christmas. Maybe not Spirit Halloween, but if they did a Spirit Christmas, I'd do the same thing. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll see you again soon. Bye. Alrighty, voiceover. Hope you enjoyed the 15 seconds of silence from my voice, because I'm going to chat you through to the end of this video. I haven't got a lot to say, only because the process of research and inspiration is very different for a lot of people, and ultimately my process isn't like this every time. But if I do have the opportunity to go this deep and go out and, you know, research and be in places and take photos and print out reference photos and sketch them all out. Like, I love that process too. I think it's its own part of the creative process that can be super enjoyable, but not for everyone. Not everyone loves to do that. So I don't really want to give you too much advice on how to do it, but I can just speak from my own personal experience. And as per usual, I will just preface every one of these opinions by saying they're my own experience with my own journey. And obviously, if you take it with a grain of salt, is what I'm saying. You don't have to agree, and that's completely fine. Everything's going to work differently for everyone. The part of the process that I think is the most valuable for me is this one right here, where the ideas and the inspiration, you know, once were just thoughts in a very cerebral place, I put into my hands, and they become very physical. They're very tangible feelings and thoughts. I can jot down notes. I can play with colors. I can rip something up, and I could cut into a piece of paper and stick it down. I can get physical with the process. And that, as someone who ends up, creating that way, is a really helpful next step, because I get to figure out, oh, is this the medium I want to use? Do I want to try this? Should I make a tutorial out of this? Or like, this was simpler than I thought. Maybe this would be really quick and easy to teach, and maybe this would be fun for people who don't have a lot of time. And it's not until you really start getting physical with all of it that you really figure that out, because sometimes, especially when you're inspired, you're trying some things that you don't know if you even have the skill for, and that you could be learning as you're going through it. And you think, you had every best of intention to sit down and draw something specific, or to pull inspiration from it, and then you realize through a lack of skill, or a lack of supplies, or lack of tools or something, you actually couldn't achieve it. So this brings me to something that I really just want to hit on, that I don't think is super related to this video as a whole, but I want to mention this, because if there is probably one thing I think is more beneficial than just watching this whole video, it's it's a life lesson that might be learned. Which is very generous for what I'm about to say, because it's not a life lesson, but it's super critical for me as someone that doesn't really have an option to stop. Like, I can't, because this is my career as well, there is a very personal side to all of my mixed media art, my journaling, my creativity. There's that stuff that's still just mine, but then there's a business side to it as well. So there's not really an opportunity for me to stop, unless I just don't want to live in my home anymore, and I just don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, I have to keep going. So inspiration is one of those funny things, because as I've grown through this industry, I've learned from a lot of different people how they go about, creating their own businesses, so that I could learn better for myself. And one of the things I hear a lot is, I just wasn't feeling inspired. And I mean, you have no idea how many YouTubers I've seen in the past week that have just said, I just wasn't feeling inspired, so here's this. And it's like, it's just a vlog that they didn't want to film, or it's just something that they put half an effort into, or they felt really bad about. And I don't know, it just, for me, the first thing I think of, because I'm very literal, I'm very black and white, it's like, you didn't have to put that out there. Why did you put it out there? So take a load off, you know what I mean? If you're not inspired and you can't work when you're not inspired, then just go sleep. I don't know, go find inspiration. I like to be very practical about it, but I know it can sound very judgmental, and this is where I pause to get nervous for myself about, how loose-lipped I can be when I share my opinions. But it's so important. I just have to say this. And there's two versions of it, because I can't figure out which one I like better. Inspiration does not lead to gratification. Or inspiration does not lead to satisfaction. Always. I think I want to put a comma and put always. I don't know. You figure out the quote. I'll just explain what it means. Inspiration doesn't always lead to satisfaction. I think that's what I'll say. I'll figure it out. I'll do some nice wannabe brush lettering in my journal later tonight. But it is a very important thing to note, because to me, what seems like a common misconception is, if you are inspired by something, you're going to have a good time diving into that inspiration and then doing whatever comes out of that. Which, in essence, yes, that does happen a lot. What I think is more beneficial is that inspiration provides motivation. You're actually going to keep going, and you're going to try harder, because you are actually pulling from something that you want to do. You have the inspiration to do it. You're motivated because there's something else driving your desire to do it. And that's inspiration, which kind of just takes over and, leads the course for you a little bit. The problem is, if you always believe that you need inspiration to be able to do anything, there will be many times when you sit down and realize you have nothing to do, because we are just not inspired 100% of the time. That is not what people are about. There is always inspiration around, though. There is a very literal inspiration that you could pull if you're researching something. You can just Google it. Or there are very abstract inspirations around, like if you're just sitting there with your paints and you think, I want to do a color palette, but I'm so sick of my usual colors, then you could turn your chair around and look for a color palette somewhere. Or again, you could Google it. You could find an abstract inspiration in some of the work that you're doing, but the idea that it needs to be there for you to do anything, I think sets a lot of people up for a lot of disappointment, because then you're waiting for it. And whilst you're waiting for it, you're missing out on having all the fun that you could be having just diving in. And not only that, But inspiration's not always going to lead you down this garden path with a lot of flowers at the end. Sometimes you could be inspired to try something and then realize you don't have the skill for it yet, or you don't have the supplies, and then you're very discouraged about having tried it. So inspiration is not like closely linked to this idea of being satisfied with what you're doing. And those are some of the things that I believe through the years that I've been looking into this and trying to figure out how people, rely on their understanding of their research and their inspiration to move forward and drive their projects and, eventually drive their careers forward. A lot of that research that I've done and looking into that deeper over the years has just made me realize that the people that wait for inspiration wait a very long time and go very slowly. And the people that don't, the people that just do it anyway, the people that say, hey, I'm going to start inspiration. If you want to show up later, then by all means show up. I'll be here. But you could take a whole, inspiration could take a whole week off and I'll still be there doing it. Now, I only know that because this is my business. I don't think I could have said the same thing if I wasn't reliant on having a business that sustained a lifestyle that I lead to, and by that I mean just pay my bills. If I didn't rely on that, I don't think I would have come to that conclusion by myself anyway. But having seen that now, I want to put that message out there that, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be satisfied, because there can be a lot of times where inspiration will lead you to try something that you may not feel super successful at, or that you may realize you don't actually want to be doing. There's a value to knowing that. Like, it is good that you know that. But if you went in there expecting that, well, I'm feeling inspired, here comes some great stuff, and it doesn't happen, ultimately you're left feeling disappointed. And that's a tricky headspace to be in if you almost reassured yourself that because you were inspired, you were going to do well. So I would just leave that at the door. I think inspiration is great. It comes in so many different, forms and fashions. You can find it anywhere. It really can be completely literal or completely abstract. I personally like the more abstract forms to show up in people's work because I think it gives me a better understanding of who they are and how they find beauty in the world. Typically, we're usually inspired by things that are appealing to us. So if you're pulling a lot of that abstract reference into your work, people get a better idea of what you're seeing in your life. So I find that, as a very nosy person, I find that super interesting to look at. And yeah, it's also when you're pulling inspiration rather than information, that's when you're pulling like abstract stuff. Information is like, well, I've got a project to do, I'm just going to go Google it. That's information. Inspiration is, I've got a project to do, let me just go and enjoy myself in all the kinds of ways that might be helpful to this project and bring some of that excitement, that passion, that joy, those motifs, those color palettes, everything you found, bring that into the project. That's what I love about it. So sorry I got on a bit of a random segue there. I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Until Whimsyween starts in October, I'll see you around. Bye.